these are the things that in Europe, 70 years after the Second World War, shouldn't happen anymore. But they happened.
Take a look at the fact that without volunteers who are working on Slovenian borders, this would really look like, there were tanks, police, military. I don't know what came to this mind of the Slovenian government to create such fear and to be so ill-informed on the fact who is coming,
Another million are on their way. Now, that is a huge security threat. I mean, it's a humanitarian crisis, we got that. But that is a terror threat.
I couldn't stay at home and just watch the horrible news, and horrible, especially for the way they are said. I mean, there were things that were really reported in a wrong way. I remember I went after the news showed these tents that were burning, and I thought, oh my God, what's going on? I was afraid myself, even if I know the Arabic word. And when I came there and I saw the situation, and I could finally see how it was, I was really shocked. But not because of the violence, not because of the burning tents, because people were like in a kind of zoo. I mean, maybe the zoo of Ljubljana is even better than Brežice at that time. People were standing in the mud for the whole night with babies sick, and families were divided. We didn't have much to give.
Jaz mislim, da se prostovoljstvo dosti krat rodi iz nekega nezadovoljstva nad trenutno situacijo, nad trenutnimi razmerami. Iz potrebe, da tega nezadovoljstva ne izražaš samo, verbalno ali pa v digitalnem okolju, ampak da veš, da moraš tudi enostavno nekaj narediti. First day when I came here, I just know that it won't be easy, even if I have done some easy walks. And one thing was so incredible. They were so patient. Even if the circumstances were like they were on the first day, it was grey rain, it was cold, we didn't have enough things for everybody, we didn't have enough clothes, we didn't have enough beds, blankets. They were so patient. who asked me for some help because he lost his son and his father and his nephew. The son was 3 and the nephew was just 15. When they crossed the border between Serbia and Croatia. And the Croatian police sent some buses to pick up children and women. And they told him, just let them go on the bus, they will wait on you in the center. And he believed him. And when he arrived at the center, he didn't find them. But they just push him forwards, go towards Slovenia. And there was the first person to whom he could speak about this after 2 days. I felt so ashamed because it happened. Because nobody helped him, because nobody spoke to him.
There is no way to discriminate. I mean, if we give these rights to enter to some, why would we not give to others who have come from the same circumstances? That's that. I felt responsible for this family somehow.
On the road again. أنا أصحاب إلى اسطنبول. أنا أصحاب إلى اسطنبول.
And so I said, okay, let's try what I can do. I mean, I can't kill myself, but I can do what I can. And I wouldn't be myself if I didn't do what I think is in my power.
أنا أملك 2 أطفال. It's good. أنا أملك 2 أطفال.
The whole Syrian society is traumatized as a group because they have lost everything they had. So Mohammed took this alarm clock because he did not believe he could find an alarm clock, a clock with an alarm in Turkey, and he believed he would need it while going to work because he cannot wake up by himself because he has a very sleepy head. They brought almost no money, basically, or I mean, the money that they had to corrupt or pay for the bribe the people to let them go out of the country. So apparently they brought this remote control because an uncle who had already been living at that time in Turkey said that there's no remote for certain TV, and so they will not be able to watch it unless they bring a remote from Syria. So they brought this remote control. Definitely now it's showing what are our values. It's really probably selfishness and fear for our own asses. But there's also other values that are human and worldwide. And those other people who are coming are seeing these values in Europe and in us. Obviously, they're coming to Europe because they believe in it, because they think this is where they're going to get their freedom, because they think this is where people are more respected and they can live a freer life as opposed to where they come from. Which means maybe we have to learn from them and from their hope. And so I would say that they are bringing hope where we do not see it any longer. my conviction, because I think I don't know what is behind, what is after. So I don't know. So I don't want to think about it.
It just takes a will to listen, you know. Like this famous French philosopher said, Pierre Bourdieu, to understand is not a question of brain, but a question of will. So if you want to, you can understand. And you can look and search and try to figure out what happens in the heads of people.
Se vidimo later. Okay, maybe I don't want to distinguish empathy, or maybe I should, empathy from charity, because like you've got societies such as in the US or the Anglo-Saxon world that is a lot about charity, and it is a lot about giving and helping, but they do it because they can, and they have, and they were maybe brought up to have to help the other. But this is always, in my view, quite an unhealthy attitude, or is always quite a perverse attitude, because it departs from supposing that it is normal to not have equal chances. Perhaps your life will be different and mine will be different, and you will be more happy than I or something. We cannot be all equal, and it would be an unhealthy world. But the basic access to rights and to equal chances as a departing point, I really strongly believe in that. And once we make this possible, it's not about charity or even perhaps empathy. It's really about feeling that everybody deserves the same chance.
nažalost izgubljena žoga, ampak ponovno poskusimo. Eni tež med tega, da hotno. Pauza. No,
There's definitely a pattern of children's drawings that I've seen in other places. They were drawing boats, those who came across by boat. They were always drawing bombs and maybe bodies lying on the ground, and this is exactly what we got from them. Black and white, just with a pencil mostly, and then some red for the blood. They were saying, yes, we saw, this dead body and the arm and stuff like that. Anyways, they have seen bad stuff.
Svet na kanalu A. In v teh dneh je strah med Slovenci še kako prisoten. Tako zelo, da v Kranju nočejo 15-letnih beguncev ali mlajših. Da v Logatcu, kjer namerava vlada ustanoviti izpostavo azilnega doma, že napovedujejo protest. Svet na kanalu A. Danes ob 18.
Sometimes there is this kind of question like, are you doing it to feel better about yourself? No, it's really... It's a general problem. When something like this happens to our world, it's something that belongs to us as well, and we can't ignore it. And I also think whatever you do good brings good. And I want a better world. That's it. This meeting between different parts of the society. It's not so hard, it's actually very normal, it's not scary, of course, it's just the way we meet between each other, and people shouldn't be afraid. The Asyl Nidom, it's completely different because somehow it's like normalizing the situation of the camps. So you go back to a normal life, it's not just people going through, you can actually have a relationship with them, you start to know each other, it's really totally different. Then you start thinking about integration. I knew that they felt a bit isolated, and I thought, what about cooking together? And they were also complaining about the food in the asylum center because it's a different food, of course. So actually they take the food from the mensa, from the cafeteria, and then they cook it again. So they put all their spices and things. So we started to do it. Now it's Ramadan, so we stopped for a while, but it worked quite well. Like we were meeting and it was nice. And I thought it would be a lab for women, but actually men are cooking more than women. So all together they came, and then you see some people coming and then some people joining, leaving. When I go to the asylum center, I try to act just like a guest. So that's their home, and they welcome me for lunch as much as I welcome them for lunch at my place. So usually at home, when my friends come, I do Arabic food. But of course I didn't want to do it for them. So I said, no, I'm going to cook some lasagna, Italian food. So they adapted it a bit. So like they had this lasagna with a lot of lemon on top. And but it was fun, and I mean, for sure it was different for them. And the only reason why they are somehow very much in a hurry is that they have 2 kids back home, because they didn't feel like going through such a dangerous trip with all the kids, and it was also too expensive for them. So they decided to leave just with 1 child, and they said that the experience in the water between Turkey and Greece is really awful. And but anyway, they arrived quite fast. Initially, you ask them, so what did you bring with you? And they say nothing. And actually, at the beginning, you believe it, because they were coming I mean, I saw it in the camps. They come in such a situation, sometimes just with themselves and some dirty and broken clothes. And then slowly they start showing you the way they cooked something, and they show you spices. And you say, wow, like you found it here? No, I brought it from home. And you start like thinking, like, really, like you left home and you thought about bringing your spices? Okay. And then you're eating with them and you see a kind of dark thing and you try it. It's really good, tasty. You can't understand what it is. And then you ask, what is it? A lemon. Ah, okay, so like you cooked it in a particular way and I can't recognize that it's a lemon. No, it's a lemon, particular lemon that was imported from the nowhere to the place where I lived, but actually you can find it just in a particular place in the mountain, in the country where I lived. This is a weird instrument, like an old one. We don't really use that anymore. No, I know. This actually belonged to my grandfather and he gave it to me when I became like a man. So you brought it from home? Yes, I brought it from home. Okay, very interesting. So they have very small things, objects, that they bring from home. And it's true, it's very important wherever you go to have like kind of pieces of home that make you feel comfortable. Yeah, so we are both pregnant and we are sharing this, talking about pregnancies, and she asked me if I can go with her when she will give birth. So we'll see if I will feel prepared for it, since I'm giving birth after her. But it would be a strong experience to share for sure. They are a sort of between being prisoners from a psychological point of view, because they can move around, prisoners, and protected by the asylum center. They don't feel like they're not tourists. Like, let's go and see the castle. They are not in that mood, and I understand. The next step is to go out with the women much more and to show them where things are. Also with men, like, they're interested in some things, like exactly the instruments and things to work. So I took them to this big store where they could find, they don't have the money now to buy anything, but at least they know where things are. Well, Slovenia is a small country with, let's say, a bit a narrow vision of what is and can be a multicultural nation. So let's say it's very challenging if you want to have that approach in a positive way. The point is, it depends on the way you see the world. Like, do we live in Slovenia or do we live in the world? To me, it's like we live in the same world, and you can try to build walls, but actually it doesn't prevent nature and human beings from moving. Doesn't really do it, and that's the history. It always happened, and it doesn't bring just bad things. It brings complexity for sure. That's the way it is. It's complex, so we can't prevent it, and we can only open our eyes, try to meet other people, know them, and once we know them, we are not that different.